Okay. So we're recording. Thank you, production team. We're ready to go. Appreciate it. I'm just going to go for it. So here we are, ladies. We're back again for another episode of the Fully Grown podcast. And today we are talking about something that I think the four of us have a pretty unique perspective on because we have self employed, we have teachers, we have business professionals, and we all work with other women. So today we are talking about women and how they can either be encouraging and uplifting and great partnerships, or the flip side of that is how they can tear us down. And it's already hard enough for us to be operating in this world where women are subjugated every day. So we're going to talk about the good and the bad and everything else that comes with working women and the dynamics therein. So who wants to start first with their stories?
I mean, I'll start by saying subjugated. What a great word.
It just popped. Sometimes I'm just really
I
smart.
was
I
like,
don't know where it came
ooh,
from.
let me write that down to look up what it means later.
Feel like Becky is just my original form of Google. I just turned to
Seriously.
Becky and I'm like, "What is that?"
Before ChatGPT, it was ChatGPT Becky.
Becky?
Yes.
That's a work in progress.
Here's the difference. We're talking street smart versus school smart, right? That's why you always do that with me. I got the street cred, you got the diploma. So
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I
I
needed
think
the
she's
diploma.
I think she's pretty gangster street smart too, though. I wouldn't want to meet Amber in a dark alley.
Clearly, she still needs Chat GBT Becky.
Still need ChatGPT, Becky.
This is a perfect example of women who build each other up. Look at us building each other up.
You
Yes.
I
know,
know.
I think
See,
that it's so important. There's too many people out there trying to break us down, and if we can't lift each other up as women, especially at our age, you need more therapy.
Yeah.
The reason I kind of came up with this topic is I was at a work trip and it was, people who exceeded over 100% for the quarter. And, I've been at my new company for 9 months now. So, but I've been kind of like the shiny new toy. I've been, doing really well. So I'm asked to like speak on, regional calls a lot. And these two girls come in so hot. Like everyone's having such a good time. They come in late. They're from South Florida. They have that vibe and they
Oh,
come in
we know that.
super hot. And I'm standing there having a conversation with one of the directors, and this girl just comes right in, doesn't even look my direction. We're in the middle of a conversation. She interrupts me. And then for the entirety of the evening, she just has her daggers on me and this other shiny new toy. It's like, I can see her talking about me. She's doing this. Like, we are literally grown women, and she's
that's
going,
ridiculous.
it's honestly a quintessential large sales organization. It just was, it was so childish, and it just reeks of insecurity to me. Like if you take issue with women who are doing well within your organization, it is 100% jealousy. That's it. And that's how it portrays to others. I honestly say probably in my lifetime, I probably was that person where, really good women were, they made me jealous, but I've had enough therapy to know that's what that's called versus, she's not threatened by me. And to me, it just blew me away that people could be like that in any organization. But you almost have, like in any organization, you almost always have those people where they get off on kind of being the mean girls. And I just think, in my 40s, I got to this place where, I want to lift other people, women up. When there's somebody doing really well, the first thing I do is reach out to them. I want to know what they're doing. I
Yeah.
want to emulate what they're doing. I don't want to bring them down. I want to do the same that they're doing because I want to do well too. So it just blows my mind that there's women out there that just will, for no reason. This girl did not know me from Adam. And at one point in time, she came over to my coworker, and I was sitting right next to her, and she asked her to introduce me to her.
Instead
Like,
of just introducing herself, like, "Hi,
yes.
I'm so and so."
And I know she knew who I was. I've been on almost every single regional call in the last like 4 months. So she absolutely knows who I am. And it was just so strange. I'm like, it's time to grow up, lady. And
Has she
I
been at
think
the company longer than you?
she has, yeah. And
And she does really well?
she does well, but I as soon as the night was over, there was one point in time in the night she was sitting literally across from me, the table from me, and I could see her mouth my name and this other girl, Kate. It was her. She's new as well and doing really well, and she's also like 25 with beautiful fake titties. She might one day see this, so good job, Kate. I also don't want them. This is jealousy, but she was
Admiration.
yes,
For you,
admiration.
yeah.
That's a good one. And you know, I can see her mouthing my name and her name, and I'm like, I'm sitting right here. Are you out of your mind? But then 30 seconds later, she got up and fell over an entire table.
Oh, that's
Karma's a bitch.
vindication. You know why I think women do this like that? Because she's probably gotten to the top or where she is from doing things like that, from stepping on other people and getting there like that. So I think the question that we have to ask ourselves is how do we get to the top without using the backs of other women around us? One thing in my world where when I see people like that and there's a tinge of me that wants to be like, screw you, how did you get so good? You're right, Jen, like it's happened that you feel yourself doing it, but then you're like, why is that happening? I'm just envious because
Mhm.
they have something that I want. So pick up the phone and call them and be like, hey, do you have a few minutes? I would love to chat with you. What are you doing in your world right now to to has provided for you and has gotten you to this level of success? I'm just really in awe of what you've been able to accomplish. And I would love to just, take some tips from you. Do you have a few minutes? I'd love to get a coffee. Let's have a phone call. Can you
What do
imagine
you
if we did
do?
that? What would
Yeah,
she say to you if you did that?
question is, are there
She'd
some that
probably
just
be
won't
like,
have the conversation because they don't want to give you their secret sauce? Like
But
I've worked in organizations that do it both ways. I'm telling you, when I worked for a black and white cosmetic company, was notorious for people undercutting and doing things and not wanting to tell
oh, I
you
bet.
what the secret sauce was that worked, which always blew my mind because if we were all rowing in the same direction, the whole entire organization was going to do better. And therefore, those of us in sales were going to make more money. It
Mhm.
was mind boggling because the first rung on bonuses, like when I became at a level where I was writing the way bonuses were going to be paid out, the first thing I did, I made it on teamwork first. Like we weren't going to get a dime if we didn't make the company objective versus individual objectives.
I can
And
see
That's
it was
that from
because of that.
from an organizational standpoint, not wanting to like share secrets or like, but I think if you get a woman dialed down woman to woman and you literally like had a heart to heart and be like, man, you are just killing it, girl. Like I'd love to grab a coffee with you. Just like give me one or two tips. Just give me one or two. Trying to get where you can get. I'm just saying that as a trick to cut through that bullshit.
Yeah.
Because like that's all it is. It's just bullshit. And I guarantee you that no one has ever done that with her.
Mm-mm.
And it's so hard. Like, can you get like, Jenny, can you imagine making that phone call right now to her?
No, it would
Like,
take a lot of pride swallowing. And that prior to this happening very easily. I do it all the time. And I think honestly, if you look at the best of the best of the best in a sales organization, it is always the most humble, the people that are willing to help others, the people that, that if you called them and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" They're so gracious with their time. Those are the people that are, it's almost like givers gain. They're the ones that are
it's
doing
true.
the absolute best within the
Mhm.
organization. And there's no secret to it, Like I look at my own sales team and my boss is really, really, the way she hires, she will not bring somebody who is not a culture fit. And we are the top team in the company, and it's not a secret. There's a reason why we're winning so much, and it's because we all want to see each other win. We're not stepping on each other's toes. We're not fighting within our sales team over opportunities. We'd rather split than to have a bad culture on the organization. Again, I don't think there's a secret to why that works. And the people that don't do that are just, in my opinion, such a cancer on an organization. You always have them.
You have them everywhere. And it's not just in the work life, it's in daily life too. I mean, like, so you guys both come up from a professional perspective and in the corporate world, Mandy, where do you see that in the realm of education?
Yeah, so it's just super interesting to listen to how it plays out in the corporate world. In the education system, it's the exact opposite, right? Like my role is an instructional coach and I use other people's success to get people to, like, if I have a teacher who is struggling with a particular practice and I want them to be open to trying something different, I will use another person's success to say, hey, this teacher is doing this and she's really successful at it. Why don't we schedule some time to go observe her, and you can maybe take some tips and strategies? And then I go to the other teacher and I say, you're really great at this and my other teacher is really struggling with this, and I'd love to put the two of you together so that you guys can learn and grow from each other. And that's really the nature of working in education, right? We're lifelong learners, and so we always want to learn from other people. And so, like, in the workplace in particular, I just I don't suffer from this. I don't see it happening in education because we are there for the children, and I think that's a big differentiating piece here. We're all working for the betterment of someone else. And when you're in a sales world or a corporate world, you're
Absolutely.
working for yourself. You're working to make yourself bigger, yourself better, you're raising the top. And so, like, I think that for me is the biggest difference, is that we're working for someone else and every in the corporate and sales world are working for themselves.
So you work in Candyland. I got it. Just
I
making sure.
do, and I love it.
No,
Yeah.
I think this goes back to corporate cultures though, and the cultures that women were brought up in, from the different types of jobs. So if you take a step back, teachers were usually female. It's a female dominated, especially in elementary school. And I think women come to the table naturally, quite honestly, with a different set of skills of collectively getting people to do well together. But then you put us into a corporate environment that most often, even in my industry, that is a female dominant industry, when you get to the top, the majority of CEOs are male.
Men. Yep.
All like the biggies
Yep.
are all men. And so what happens is that in order to get into that room, I think what happens is that there's this assumption you have to adopt some of those what tended to be, at least in the past, more male like behavior where it's all about you. But I'm seeing this shift in corporate culture where if you can get a vision and a mission for what you're doing and get the whole group rallied around that, the teamwork gets so much better. And I do think some of that comes out of organizations like education or teams, athletic teams. One of the things when I think about hiring people is looking for people who are on team sports
Yeah,
because,
because you build each other up.
mhm, yeah, cue the tennis story.
Cue the tennis story. Well, no, it's not like tennis is still an individual sport and a team sport at the same time. But like, I totally get that, Amber, because I've never been an athlete before. I'm 50 years old and finally experiencing like, oh, wow, what athleticism and being on a team and being involved in something that's competitive and how that relates to the workplace environment. So I totally see the connection, because I have grown greater friendships than I've ever had in my entire life inside the realm of sports. But again, and I'm sure that you guys have the same thing. And I think overall, I think we're probably talking about a few bad eggs. Would you all agree?
Mhm. Yeah,
Because I think for the
absolutely.
most part, women do build ourselves up. We do want to all work together and we want to all be successful together, but you do have a few bad eggs. My situation is just a situation of one person who's really just a poor sport. And she made an entire morning of tennis from something that is like, come on, guys, this is country club tennis. We're all middle-aged women eking out a time of our already busy week to play some fucking tennis, and you want to make it nasty. Like, and so like I'm looking at it like it's really just one-offs. So I think the greater question that we have to ask ourselves is we're sitting here literally having a podcast about these women that get inside and they just get stuck in our craw and we're pissed off and we're, like, ugh. So how do we just either call them out on it and get them to like learn and grow, but it's not really our job to do that or our place to do that, or how do we just get around it? How do we just become better?
I think a lot of women though who do this, or the women that do this, there's not a lot of them. I think we're still have the long casted shadow of only one woman could be in the room at a time, in the seats of success and power. And
That makes
I
sense.
think even on sports teams, right?
Mhm.
Like you had to have the one that was good enough to play with the boys, the one that was good enough that they could sit around the board table, one that was good enough that could be part of administration in the school. I mean, I still think about it. Principals were always male when I was growing up.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like I still think about like every vice principal that I ever can think of, all male. Quote the disciplinarians,
Mhm.
head of schools, the deans. It's really interesting. So like I think we're just now starting to become with the end of Gen X moving into millennial and now even further with Gen Z and so forth, where it's actually a pat on the back to bring more women up with you versus it like I'm going to be that one and only seat at the table.
Right, so women as a collective
Yeah, I
instead
mean,
of one woman stepping on the backs of other women to get to a certain elevated position. Now we're entering an era where we are a collective group of women all rising together to the top.
Yeah.
That's
I
what you're
feel like
saying.
it's have you seen The Gorge, the movie?
No.
So there's these
No,
weird
it's so weird. I just
it is
couldn't
very weird, just so you
I
know. It
did
is
try to watch it, like, so many times
also,
because I
Jared
love
made me watch Stanley Kubrick last night, and we were watching Space Odyssey 2001, and it's actually really wildly good. But so in the gorge, these things are climbing up this gorge, but it's kind of like women, right? Like if there's enough of us together climbing up, you can't stop us. Versus it being like one lone one up there. And so I don't know why the gorge is why my became my analogy just now, but that's all
yeah.
I could think of because they were going from the
All
bottom to the top.
all I'm seeing though is like women stepping on top of other women. It's like the last man surviving. Like that's what I'm feeling like
yeah.
almost like the zombie movies where you're climbing on top of everybody else and it's like, well, some people got to die for the top people to get to the
That's what
top.
I was ki I
So yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like, it
It
same.
was
might be
more
the
like
opposite of what we're
they
talking
were
about
like
here,
in
Amber.
this movie they kind of worked where it was kind of like the a row and then they climbed up, not total zombie,
Hmm.
not zombie.
Okay, because
No,
we're
no, no,
I
no.
digressing hard right now.
Yeah, it's not
Amber,
working. On to
Amber,
the next
abort
thing.
mission, abort mission.
yeah.
I'm off. I'm moving on.
You know what's
So
Not enough
funny
talking
as
yet.
too is the people that are like that, they aren't the ones that are winning. They're they're winning, but, like, mediocre winning, you know?
Right.
It's the
This is true.
ones that are I'm telling you, the top of the top salespeople I've ever met in my life were the most humble, gracious people. They were so grateful for the gifts they were given and the life that they were given, and that is just it's not a secret. And that's what's so funny to me is this is not like a secret recipe, guys. And like this is the way to win.
Right?
You know, like we don't have to take everyone down with us. We can take them up with us.
You know what I think is worse though, and I've dealt with this personally and professionally, are the ones who do get to the top but forgot how they got there.
Yeah.
I think I actually have a harder time with that personality than I do the one that's whispering in the corner that you were just talking about, Jenny. Like the
Mhm.
ones
Mhm.
who absolutely were supported by other women, got to the top, and it's just, but are act like, well, I did something that other people couldn't do. And it's like, no, no, it was all those other people around you that helped you get there.
Yeah. So, Becky's question was, how do we change that culture, right? How do we fix
Mhm.
it? How do we start right here, the four of us? How do we start making those changes? And as a lifelong learner, we're always taking, professional development and things on how to make us better and how to reach people that are unreachable. And I recently did a training on microaggressions. And all of this is kind of that, right? It's little
100%.
microaggressions that we do to women. And one of the things that one of the instructors said during that training was, when you see this happening, you have two choices. You can either call them out or you can call them in. And when you call them in, you're saying, hey, let's talk about this. Let me tell you how your behavior is affecting other women. Let me
No, I
tell
wanna
you
call him
how
out.
what you
Yeah.
were just saying or what you just did made me feel. And there are times, like I think Jenny, in that moment, that was a time to call them out, right? There's a time and a place for both. And I think that sometimes when they aren't open to being called in and having that conversation, it starts by calling them out. Like you have to be able to stand up and say, no, This is not
Mhm.
okay. It's not okay for you to act like this towards other women. It's not okay for you to act like this towards people that are different from you, right? And so like I think there's an appropriate time to call them out, and I think that there's an appropriate time to call them in, and I think sometimes you have to do both. First
This
you
is
have
a
to
good
call them
point.
out, and then you
Yeah.
have to call them in.
I think you have
It's
to do
like
the call them in first, and then if that doesn't work, then you call them out. And it's so
Yeah, I mean, I
funny,
think
Mandy,
every
that you are speaking in terms of early childhood development, and it relates so much to adult behavior because so many people are not constantly growing. And I think that is just, it's such a funny parallel that you're sitting here talking about what you learned in early childhood development, but it's totally relating to our conversation.
yeah, yeah. It makes me think of the guy that I'm sure you guys have all heard of him, Jefferson Fisher, the
I
trial lawyer.
Jefferson
love
Fisher.
him.
Oh my god, I have such a huge crush on him.
Me
I'm so
too.
sad that I am happily married and he is happily married. I mean, if there was another time in life that we could have just met each other,
He's my
but no,
kind of Texan.
And
he's
he's
amazing.
so incredibly smart. Just
He's
ev
just
I, like, hang on to the every word he says.
smart is not the word. He's like emotionally intelligent. He
Mhm.
is patient. He allows for people to breathe and hold space while inside of a conversation. And so when we were talking about this, I was thinking about whenever he was talking about when someone says something that you or does something that makes you feel hurt, for them to just be like, for you, the one thing that you could say would be like, did you mean for that to be hurtful? Like you could, if you were literally sitting across the table from this girl, you could have just been like, "Hey, so and so, whatever your name is. Hey, did you know I can hear you?
Yeah,
Did
I
you?
should
Are
have done
you
that, actually.
like?
Are
Are
you
you
This
aware?
able
was,
to talk?
this was a
Like,
few drinks in, so I was like, "Excuse
yeah,
me, I'm right here."
yeah. That would be the
That
definition of
would have been
calling
much
someone
better.
out.
"Hey,
Wait, did I hear you
you
say
wanna
my
talk?"
name? Yeah,
Yeah.
did
It's
I hear my
J with
name?
a Y, not an I, just so you know.
J-E
But it's like, this is why we're on a podcast like this, right? Because, like, we are not fully grown. We are
Mhm.
still working on growing and growing up and being the mature adult and being the mature woman in the world and learning how to be better every day. And, I feel sorry for these people because you're right, Mandy. They're not growing. They're not learning. They're not getting better. They're just going to continue being a bitch and everybody around them is just going to deal with it. Why? Because it's probably so painful to call them out. It's so painful. It would be like, she probably has some sort of like narcissistic behavior too. And we all know what it's like to call a narcissist out,
Good luck.
that it just
Do we?
doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
do.
hard, right?
I'm an
I
This is
do.
expert.
hard work. It's really hard to be vulnerable enough to say, "That hurt. What you just did or said was hurtful," right?
Yeah.
That requires you to be really aware of your own self and be very vulnerable to be able to say, "Hey, I don't like the way that made me feel," because you're opening the door for an argument or for them to say something even more hurtful. And so, like, that's why people like that woman keep doing it, because it's hard to be brave enough to call them out. And that's why sometimes it's easier to call them in. And you can do that in a number of ways, but the best way to do it, one of us said it earlier, was to ask them what makes them great, right? The reason she is that way is because she thinks she's great. And all
Mhm.
No,
she
I
wants is
disagree. I
somebody
think
to,
it's opposite. I think
but
they're
but on
insecure.
the surface she thinks she's
Yeah,
great,
100%.
right?
That's
And so that's how you have to open the door, is
mhm.
letting her believe that you also think that she's great. That's how you break that barrier down. That's how you break that wall down, by going with her in the story that she's telling in her head. And then eventually you're able to work through those things.
Right. You can't
I
go to her
think
and be
you're
like, girl, really what's happening here is you're really insecure.
Yeah,
This isn't confidence at all.
let
This
me
is
tell
really
you,
insecurity. And let me tell you
not
why.
coming for you.
That's probably not going to work, then.
we're not
Probably
gonna
not
be
going
the
to work.
psychologist approach. But I think Mandy brings a really good point up that it's really hard because it's like, do I want to put the effort in to correct your behavior or course correct you? Because you're right, Mandy. The next thing is I'm gonna have to get into a conversation and it's gonna take whatever amount of time it's going to take when you're calling them
Mhm.
in to thoughtfully help them come on that journey. And that
Mhm.
is probably one of the biggest things we could all be doing. But man, it really does like pre-play some of those conversations in my head. I'm like, I don't have the time for this.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have the time for it, and we don't have to do it with every situation. Like, Jenna,
No,
you probably don't have to do it with this person. Like, you're not gonna
No,
see
no.
her again.
It's
You're
like
gonna just use
a
her.
handful of times a year.
Exactly. So you're just gonna use her for fuel to your fire, and you're just gonna be
It
like,
actually
"I'm
really
going."
does fuel me. I'm like,
Exactly.
if I'm
Yeah.
that scary to you, then I'm obviously pretty good.
But just having this conversation, next time you have a corporate meeting and she does that, you can just be like, "You know what? This really bothered me last time we met, and you're doing it again. I just want you to know that I see you, and it's really unbecoming." Maybe just a simple conversation like that to be like, "I see what you're doing."
so what about the
Really, you could even say, in this world where women already have to work their asses off just to compete with men, I really would love it if we could just work together and support each other instead of constantly breaking each other down. Like maybe just
You
a
know
quick.
you know me, I'll be in the pool in Mexico at our president's club, and, like, I'm pretty likable,
you
and I
are?
think but, yeah, like, I get into people's skin, like, you can't not like me, so I think we'll
You
be, like,
either
in Mexico having some margaritas, and it'll be, like, 2 seconds later, we'll be best friends, but
Oh my
it's
gosh,
like,
I can just see
well,
it now.
I can see the episode where
I
she
will
comes
videotape.
back. Wait a minute. I think you just brought up a good point. So sometimes I like it when there's a little bit of competitive spirit in there because it does drive you. So you don't have
Mhm.
to be a dick or a cunt
Mhm.
or an asshole, but you could, like, there is something to that. They're doing a little better. And I want to find out, but I kind of want to just go figure it out on my own to see if I can do it better than them. Nothing against them. I want them to do well. I don't want it to be in spite of them, but
Mhm.
I do like that edge of competitive spirit to be like,
For sure.
I can do
We're
this.
salespeople, Amber.
Yeah,
It's
all day
in
It's
our
long.
blood.
exactly why I'm not a
Yeah.
salesperson, because that
Yep.
actually makes me feel nervous just saying it out loud.
Mandy's over there
Like, I
going,
can
"Yeah."
even see Mandy's face keeps going,
Don't make
Meanwhile,
me.
I'm over here going, "Yeah, that's why next time I play her, I'm gonna
Yeah.
smash her in her fucking
Yeah.
titties.
that's exactly
That's
what Becky said to me when she told me this story.
I'm gonna get so good that she will hate playing me because all I ever do is just hit her right in the damn chest."
Wow, you are not my sister because
I know,
I
I'm really mean.
literally came away from that experience like, "Brianna, can you look up what her number is?" She just became my new number to beat.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I don't care, I will beat nobody else, but what is her number? I'm
Yeah.
coming for her.
Coming for it.
Her, it's just like tennis. I just wanna be better than her, and that's when
Mhm.
I will feel better. And, like, it does help you and it makes you feel bad. It makes you feel like you've got this drive, but it makes me feel bad too, because it would be better if we all just got better together, but it's unfortunate.
100%.
That's just the way of
Yeah.
the world. I mean, that's what this podcast episode is about. So there is, like, always this delicate balance of how far do you go to that negative energy for drive for you, and how far do you go to, like, let's go on to the positive side of things and let's just really try to build each other up. And you're right, you have to take every little moment and every little person and how important is this person? Am I going to work with them again? What's the benefit for me or for the relationship or for the team or for the company or the corporation? And pick and choose which tactic you use in which situation. You got options.
I am just gotten to the place in my life where I'm choosing peace over that kind of behavior. No, it's
Really
like
smart.
at some point you just have to ignore it. You're gonna have that at
Exactly.
every and if you can't turn it around, then to me it's like it's just noise
Mhm.
because it's again, I choose peace at this point in my life. And I just think that she probably needs to get a little bit of therapy.
Think about some professional people that people close to me work with that somebody needs to do a call out and a call in on. And I think it's really interesting that no one's doing it. So
That
I'm
is
thinking about the
interesting.
four of us, and if Jesse was on here too, we're pretty darn comfortable calling people in and calling people out. But
We
Mhm.
really
I
are.
really, but I really groups of people who just personalities don't have one of us in that group when there's that bad behavior and it ends up in a leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
It's
running through my head right
that's
now. That
that
all
is
I wanna do is be the one that goes into this important person in my life's place of work and tell this person, this woman, to get her shit together.
it usually stems from a leader. like allowing a certain behavior to manifest on a team, you'll usually find that they're not, there was two of them. She was the worst of the worst, but there was two of them on the same team. And that is, again, no secret. If you just look at the team itself and other teams, and then you look at my team in comparison, and everyone's always like, you guys look like you're always having so much fun. We had every single team and leader say that to specifically our team because it's contagious, and it's
It is.
vice versa the same. Like a cancer is contagious, but also, happiness advantage, Mandy. Did you ever read it? That's what, it's like it fosters when you just come from a place of positive, and, that I think also can manifest in a team and an organization and a leader. And I think it's top down, Amber. I think that's where it starts.
Well, and I think, and I was going to say this a little bit ago, we were talking about something else, but I think that some of this is just being patient because those people typically work their way out of that kind of environment. Or if you have a leader that is allowing it, eventually the leader gets run out. Like Amber was talking about, most principals are men, right? Like that's real. And when you have a leader who is not good at calling people out when they need to be called out and calling people in when they need to be called in, it affects the culture of the entire organization. And like that's happening for me right now in my building. We have a brand new principal and he is not a leader. He doesn't have any leadership qualities whatsoever. And the culture in our building is suffering.
Yeah.
And that is making people rise above him and say, this isn't working. We can't work like this. There is no culture. And so like sometimes you just have to be patient and wait for that kind of era to end. And then the true leaders can rise to the top. And, just like it's hard to call somebody out or call somebody in, it's hard to be patient, but sometimes it's worth the wait.
One of my favorite sayings is you can't let somebody live rent free in your brain. So
I just heard that this
you
week.
haven't heard that
I
before?
don't remember from who. I mean, I've heard it before, but literally just heard, like, had this conversation with somebody. I love that.
It's
that
powerful, isn't
saying.
it? Because
Very.
if you're focused on them, you're not focusing
And
on you. And so how much space do we have in our already busy brains? Like we need every ounce of space and time and energy in our own brains to focus on ourselves and what we do best and to keep working on ourselves. We don't have time for that shit. Like just, yeah, don't let people have that much control of you and your brain. You're smarter than that. They're living rent free in your brain. So let them go. Let them go.
Do a lot of that this year. Nobody
But
lives
we
rent
have
free in his brain anymore.
you got to come with your money if you're
Yeah,
coming into this brain.
exactly.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I don't know how you guys do it in the corporate world. I certainly don't know how you do it, Mandy, in education. I'll be over here living my little entrepreneur life where I can just X people out. Like I'm done with you. I don't have to work with you. I don't have to work with
That is
clients I
close.
don't want to work with. I don't have to work with other people that I don't want to work with. I mean, to some certain extent, but focusing on me and what drives me and not worrying about the noise and not worrying about what other women are out there who are, closing more deals than I am. It doesn't matter. These are my goals and this is what I want to do. And that's what I focus on. And that's it. Somebody makes me angry. I will stop and say, next time I'm going to hit the ball in your titties. And that makes me feel good for a minute. But then I move on, like I don't hold on to it for very long. So I'm not
Can't.
by any means saying that you should just bury your feelings when someone pisses you off because that's not good either. I'm a big proponent of feel your feelings, let them be heard, say them out loud, and then say, okay, now
That's
that
how
feels
cancer
better.
grows. You can't let it
Yes,
grow.
you cannot let it grow, but you also can't bury it because what happens when you bury it, it starts to grow roots and it grows deeper inside you instead of just growing on the outside. So you have to feel it, you have to allow it, you got to let it feel, and then you just like put it in your pocket, save it for later, save it for when you need it. But it's not
Save it for the
growing, it's
bucket
just
bucket.
sitting there. That's right.
I have a good bucket. That's where I
We
stick
should
a
have an
lot of stuff.
episode on bucket buckets.
I would
And
love
what's in
that.
yours?
We could literally burn our buckets in the bucket buckets on camera.
We could
I
totally
love
do
that.
that.
All right, we're going to
Just
cut this
don't do
part
it in
out.
your house.
Yeah.
I did wine in my house and I was like, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have burned so many buckets today.
Yeah.
This should have been an outside burn.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
this seems like an outside, taping.
The worst is when you do burn it in the fucking bucket and it burns all the way down except for the middle, and then you still see what you were trying to get rid of
You gotta
on
burn
that
it
piece of
again.
paper.
And you're like,
That's a
"Shit,
failure.
I haven't fully fucked it."
I've not totally fucked it yet.
It is interesting. It's interesting to see how all of this kind of plays out with our different personalities. Like, we all know that I have tried sales before and we all know how well that went. And so like I think that there's some of this is like if it's not part of who you are, it's not like something that feels good to you or you don't thrive in that kind of environment, then it's okay to go, this is not for me. And that's how
Mhm.
I ended up in education because I was like, definitely not for me.
You
But
tried so many
that's my
times. So proud of
personality,
you.
right?
Yeah.
I did try so many times and I failed every single time. And I'm like,
Why is
what's wrong with
everyone in my
me? My whole
family good at this?
family are salespeople. And why am I so bad at this? But that's why, because I don't thrive in that environment. I don't,
Yeah.
that makes me feel bad about me because what I want to be doing is lifting everybody up. My favorite job in sales was when I was lifting Becky up, when I was her right hand person and she would sell 1,000,000 deals and then give me accolades on Facebook about how easy it was with her right hand person, right? Like
It's called account
that's
management.
where my joy comes from, right? Is like lifting other people up. So it
Yeah.
makes sense that I'm in education, right? Because that's where my personality fits better. And so I think that sometimes people get into these jobs and they feel terrible about themselves, but it's okay. I think as we're fully growing and trying to be better in life, I think it's okay even in your 30s, in your 40s to go, this isn't the life I grew up. And so I'm going to make a
Pivot.
180 and I'm going to try something completely different. And that's how
Yep.
at 38 I ended up in education and I never looked back, right? But I think that just to kind of bring this all the way back to what the purpose of our podcast is, we're never really fully grown. And it's okay if you find yourself in an environment that doesn't feel good to you, that you aren't thriving in, to go, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something different. And then go do something that makes you feel better.
'Cause I'm about
100%.
to go to
Well
law
said.
school, so I feel it.
You're going to
It's
law school?
I'm thinking about it.
I'm trying to talk her into it.
I know,
You'd
Becky.
be really
I'm
good
like,
at
"Brady,
it.
stop saying that. Biden just paid off my student loans."
Listen to the words of your younger, wiser sister and what she just said. You're never too old to reinvent yourself. We're here. That's why we're here to normalize the fact that we are all growing and flowing and ever changing. And guess what? It's okay. It's okay not be fully grown. I hope I'm not fully grown by the time I'm in my deathbed because otherwise we're not growing. We're just staying stagnant. So we'll catch you next time on the next episode of Fully Grown Podcast. Becky, Jenny, Amber, Mandy, and Jesse, we'll catch you next time.